Well, hello, and welcome to the Lockhart Radio Podcast. I am your host, Felicia Lockhart. And today we're looking at a couple of stories that everybody's been tossing around. We've also covered it here. So we're looking at the Venezuelan gangs of Colorado or the alleged situations dealing with, apartments being taken over. We're also looking today at the Haitian issue in Ohio, as well as so much more. This is a very laid back conversation today, nothing very, strict or anything like that. I want to welcome each and every one of you all for joining us, and we're just really going to get right into it because I think that here's the deal. Here's the way that I feel about both of these topics, as well as some of the other things that we're going to be dealing with today. The way that I feel is, if none of these things were true, what makes it so hard is the fact that people are doubling down with their attempt to tell us that it's not true. And it's that bothers me the most. Welcome to everybody here. Please make sure that you hit that like button. Make sure that you subscribe if you're not a subscriber, because today's podcast is definitely to get subscribers to join us. We find a lot of awesome people who watch the program, but we'd like to extend the opportunity today for you to become a subscribed member of the channel. Now, we are looking, first of all, the first situation that I do want to look at is Colorado, because to me, there's a lot of things that have been said publicly that open themselves up to be scrutinized, that allow us to be able to dig a little deeper based on what's said. But first, what we're going to do in both topics is we're going to get to know the players of the game, right? We're going to get to know who the governor is, and we're going to get to know what he said. We're going to look at some of the news articles, and then we're going to move on to the next article. But the purpose of making sure that we clarified it is because it's important to know those individuals who claim much ado about nothing. That's what they're saying, that this is just a bunch of schemes that somebody else has thought of, and it has nothing to do with what the reality is that they've now painted for us. I wonder what would happen if they just didn't say anything and they allowed the truth to reign. Would they be able to glean more followers for their up and coming campaign, or would they just falter? You'll never know, because we need to know today what the truth is. We'll be right back. Hey everyone, it's me, Felicia, of the Lockhart Perspective and Headlines with a Voice. I want to tell you a little secret. This is what I used to do, because I don't do it anymore. I would go to the store, buy the barbecue sauce, pour it inside of a bowl, put a whole bunch of different spices, a dash of brown sugar, a dash of maple, and a dash of mustard, stir it all around, and everybody would be like, oh my gosh, this is the best, this is the best. But I was exhausted after all of that, and a lot of times I couldn't remember how many dashes of what I put in it. But I don't have to do that anymore, because now I just go to Judge Joe Brown's website and I order his 3-pack of bottled barbecue sauce. It is by far the best, and I do mean the best barbecue sauce I've ever eaten. And when you go to his website and you order his 3-pack, you'll see exactly what I mean. Head on over to jjbbbbq.com and order Judge Joe Brown's barbecue sauce. You'll be glad you did, and you're going to tell me about it. I know you will. All right, welcome back. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to get to know the governor. We're going to get to know the governor's spouse of Colorado. We're going to get to know everything that we need to know, because I really feel that it's important to know those individuals so that way you can get exactly where they're coming from. By knowing a person, by knowing their family, by knowing who they are, or at least getting a glimpse of who they are, it helps you understand the validity of the things they say. It also helps you to see whether or not you can gauge any truth based on some of the things that they say or believe. So the first thing that we're going to do right now is we're going to take a gander. We're going to take a look at, well, first of all, let me say this. I really want to deal with this because I believe that each and every situation that we're looking at right now is dealing with one specific topic: greed. How is it dealing with greed, Felicia? Well, greed is selfish desire of food, money, possessions over and above one's needs. Now, we can look all the way back to the empires of places like Rome, We can look at all of those other empires and we can see that there have been a lot of situations where greed has caused individuals to want to take power. So greed and power go hand in hand. Lies go with those things. So let's get into this. I want you guys to take a look at the first article. First article, then we're going to take a look at the cat who said it. All right. So this is the governor of Colorado. Let's make this a little larger. Actually, let me do this because I don't even want to see all the other ads. So the Colorado governor, Polis, dismisses migrant gang takeover of apartments as imagination, despite the mayor confirming the truth. Make sure y'all can read this because I don't see you as being able to. There you go. Right there. Now, that's the butter. That's the butter, baby. Okay, now you got it. And despite the mayor confirming the truth, Colorado Governor Polis dismissed anger. He dismissed anger over the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua taking over an apartment there in Denver suburb of Aurora, calling it imagination, despite video footage of the police and police reports showing that it did in fact happen. Polo's press office offered the snarky statement on a Wednesday night in response to the Aurora City Councilwoman Danielle Jurinsky, who told the Post the gang's takeover are tied to his policies. Quote, the governor has already let the mayor know that the state is ready to support the local police department with assistance from state troopers and the Colorado Bureau of Investigation if needed. This came from Shelby Wyman, a spokesperson for the Democratic governor. This is what they told the Post. And this is the nice gentleman who is their governor. It goes on to say, but according to the police intelligence, this purported invasion is largely a feature of Danielle Jurinsky's imagination. Let's scroll all the way down past this stuff because whenever you do this, you got to get past all this. All right. Now, Wayman added that it's illegal to take over buildings in Colorado. Well, I would imagine that the people from Venezuela want to follow the law. They don't want to just take over buildings in Colorado because it's illegal. And if Jurinsky has knowledge of such activity, the governor's office is ready to assist in taking them back. Violent crime dropped in Aurora between 2022 and 2023, said Wyman. Despite the governor's claims, however, the evidence is clear. On the Wednesday night that this particular surveillance video aired that showed an armed gang of men, later confirmed by cops as suspected members of Tren de Aragua, strolling through an apartment complex in Aurora that residents said had been overrun by the gang. 3 of the men could be seen carrying handguns, while another held a rifle as they entered the troubled apartment complex, breaking into a unit shortly before a shootout took place at the complex that left one person severely injured. Now, how did that person get injured? They just heard the governor say this wasn't real. How did that happen? Something's got to be awry. Something's got to be afoot. Further, Aurora Mayor Mike Kaufman told Fox News on Thursday that there are several buildings that have fallen to these Venezuelan gangs in his city. Kaufman said that he believes the buildings were used as taxpayer-funded migrant housing. He believes. How does he have any truth of that? More than likely, what he's saying that he believes, he knows is not true. Could it be that these particular buildings are actual places where people like you and I get up and go to work every day live? Could it be? Well, nobody seems to have any of the truth. Nobody's able to actually pinpoint what's real and what's not. And so the question, could it be, I believe is fair, don't you? It says that it could have been. Kaufman believes the buildings were used as tax-funded migrant housing, which is what gave the gangs a foothold. Now, here's the question. Wouldn't he know? He's the mayor. Why wouldn't he? And if he doesn't, somebody needs to look at this cat. Now, Denver is a sanctuary city that is just west of Aurora, and it has received more migrants per capita than any city in the country. most of them from Venezuela. More than 40,000 migrants have arrived since December of 2022. The Post asked Polis office if he intends to backtrack its statement, giving the piles of evidence of Tren de Argua's takeover. To which Wayman, the governor, and said of the governor, really hopes that the city council members in charge stop trashing their own city when they're supposed to keep it safe. How dare the city council members listen to those individuals coming into those city council meetings and reverberating what's been said to them? How dare they do that? They need to stop it, I tell you, because all of that gossip is not good. They need to stop because they just heard Governor Polis say, all the way up there from the governor's mansion, where he lives, very far removed from Aurora, that it ain't true. Stop it, I say. Says over the last month, Governor Polis has been in regular contact with the city of Aurora and the Aurora Police Department and has offered all the state assistance to support their efforts if requested, she said, adding that they expect violent crime to continue to decrease. We're looking for this to go away. There is no reason to believe that all of those Venezuelan gangs or people who were released and brought into the United States from Venezuela are causing any problem, and they need to stop those lies. The Post exposed the gang's takeover of apartments in Aurora and identified the area's shot caller, Jehoni Jose Pacheco Chirino, who is known as Galetta or Cookie in English. Pacheco Chirino, alongside his fellow gangsters, brutally beat a man at an apartment complex in Aurora. He was later arrested and then let go on bail. What does this say? She blank, it looks like she and such were walking back to their apartment, 420, from apartment 319, where they were drinking, got into an argument with a group, approximately 7 males. The males were claiming that they run this place. One of them hit the gentleman over the head with a Corona beer bottle. This caused blank to fall to the ground. Several members of the group began assaulting him while he was on the ground. The group fled. When she yelled her intent to call the police, Policia, Policia, I'm going to call them, and they took off running, allegedly. Now, we know we can't believe this. These American citizens, they were telling falsehoods on these Venezuelan people. That's what you need to know. The apartment investor told the Post that the migrant gangs have taken over the units. Now, why would those apartment investors say such a thing? They just heard what the governor said. And here they are saying that they've taken over their units. So what are the owners, what are the investors going to do with the property if said statements were true? What are they going to do? If said statements are true, what's being done to help? I wonder. Let's move on. During the assault, a witness said that Pacheco Chirino and his accomplices were a part of the gang that steals from Walmart and claimed they run the apartment, according to an affidavit that was obtained by the Post. One witness said that she was afraid to talk much because of the dangerous people living in the complex. Now, she's living in the complex. Let's go back to what the mayor said. It was probably a place that could have been given over for them to stay in, which means that, like the hotels that are in New York, it would have had to have been cleared out, right? It couldn't have had a body of individuals living in it because, like they did in New York, they cleared out those New York hotels and prevented anybody from renting or staying. If you wanted to go to New York during the last couple of years, that they've taken those big high rises and given them over to the migrants to have places for shelter, you weren't able to go on one of these websites and just book a stay because they were at capacity with these individuals so why would this lady be able to stay there if that were the case? Yeah. The apartment investor told the Post that they've lost control of several properties because the gangs have taken over their units. Undoubtedly, those investors are more than likely people who were not a part of the United States property takeover from overseas investors. How much you want to bet? How much you want to bet that when these individuals decided, and we're just guessing, it's a Saturday, and remember, this is not formal, we're just chilling. But how much do you want to bet that these individuals are some of those investors who did not come in and take part of the whole uh, blackout purchasing of all of the houses and apartment complexes? Because apparently they still had regular citizens living there. The article goes on to say they were first hanging out around the property and creating a bad element that's constantly there, and then they started taking over. Quite a few months ago, they started taking over vacant units. So this is completely diametrically opposed to what the mayor said. In July, Pacio Chirino was arrested for a shooting in the same complex where two men were wounded. Who's this cat? The Venezuelan gang Tres de Agua have been intimidating and extorting residents of apartments in Aurora. This is their photo from Colorado, looks like KDVR. Okay. All the while, Polis has embraced sanctuary policies for Colorado. In recent months, the governor signed legislation to support their new lives in the state by making it easier for them to obtain driver's license, attend school, and obtain taxpayer-funded resources. With the influx of migrants when the influx of migrants became too much, Polis made the decision to start busing them to New York City in 2023 through a program that has since ended. Still, many stayed and some moved to nearby Aurora, which has a population of 390,000 people, where apartments are now under the gang's control. Let's look. See here. People moving in and out. It's been a nightmare, and I can't wait to get out of here. Apartment resident Cindy Romero told Fox Denver she's moved out of the building with her husband. For years, the gang, which hails from Venezuela's Aragua region, has been sending its members across the U.S.-Mexico border. It's also expanded recruitment within the United States among migrant communities, mainly in New York, Denver, and Chicago. The gang was recently designated as a transitional criminal organization by the Biden administration. Isn't that rich? Isn't it rich? Isn't it grand? Michael, how are you? Daryl, hello. Sarah, hello. Hello to everyone that's here today. Let's see, Lamb's Grace, how are you? Is that Drake? Drake, how you doing? Teresa, how have you been? So that is one of the stories that we're looking at, okay? Now we're going to go on and we're going to piece some things together because I think it's important for us to drive it home. Why? Because not one article is going to do. Of course not. Because if we just stop with one article, there'll be some room for speculation that says, well, Felicia just made a lot of that up. Here we go. Here we are. That article was from August. This article is from September the 12th, 2024. This is Colorado's mayor. Police respond to Trump's claims that Venezuelan gangs is taking over. Remember, we're asking, what's the truth? That's what's on the thumbnail. What is the truth? What's it all about, Alfie? What's it all about, Alfie? So let me give you this because whenever I click over, what ends up happening is you guys lose the visual on that because I don't want to necessarily read with all that stuff coming up. So the Colorado mayor, police respond to Trump's claims that Venezuelan gangs is taking over. Aurora Mayor Mike Kaufman and the city's police have announced arrests and have addressed Donald Trump's claims that Venezuelan gang is taking over. Following former President Donald Trump's comments during Tuesday's debate regarding the Venezuelan gangs that were invading Colorado City, the mayor of Aurora and the local police department announced several arrests and addressed the Republican presidential nominee's claims. And I'm not on anybody's side but truth and right. Right is right, truth is truth. Let's get it. Aurora police have arrested 10 alleged members of the Tren de Aragua gang, a large criminal organization from Venezuela, and charged them with various offenses, including first degree assault, aggravated assault, shootings, hit and run crashes, and domestic disputes, among other instances of assault, according to a Facebook post that was shared by the department on this past Wednesday. 10 suspects were all arrested following different incidents in Aurora, dating back as far as February, the police said. The Aurora Police Department has been actively investigating the reports that members of the Venezuelan prison gang Tren de Agua have been living in Aurora and committing various acts of violence against members of the migrant community, according to social media posts. Aurora is one of the principal cities in Denver metro area and is the third most populous area in Colorado. They're asking the same thing I'm asking: what's true and what's false? Trump mentions the Venezuelan gangs being in Aurora in the ABC debate we watched here on this channel. And if you guys are rewatching that, we got hit. And so what ended up happening is we got hit by ABC, and we ended up having to edit that out. So if you guys are listening to it and it sounds a little more chopped up than it was that night when they were giving us grief, I apologize for that. But we had to do it to maintain the integrity of the views that we already had, as well as to allow others to be able to see it. So with that said, that's that. So now it goes on to say that the announcement of the arrest comes weeks after stories begin to spread about the Venezuelan gangs taking over the apartment complex and making its tenants pay them rent. Interim Aurora Police Chief Heather Morris said in a video shared on August 30th that the Edge at Lowry Apartments is not being taken over by Tren de Agua, although I ain't going over there to check, and I'm definitely not going to put in an application to live there. It's not happening. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say that out loud? Yeah, I think I did. It continues with, we've been talking to residents here and learning from them to find out exactly what's going on. And there's definitely a different picture, Morris said on the video. I'm not saying that there's not gang members that don't live in this community. Despite Morris and the city officials attempting to debunk the rumors, Trump still made mention of the gang's presence in the city during the debate on Tuesday with ABC News. Here's another quote. We have millions of people pouring into our country from prisons and jails, from mental institutions and insane asylums. You see what's happening with towns throughout the United States. You look at Springfield, Ohio. You look at Aurora, Colorado. They're taking over the towns. They're taking over the towns. They're taking over the buildings. They're going in violently. Huge. These are the people that Vice President Kamala Harris and President Joe Biden led into the country. And they're destroying our country, he says. They're dangerous. They're at the highest level of criminality. Now, Aurora Kaufman, the Aurora Mayor Kaufman would like to clear the record. Now, Aurora Mayor Mike Kaufman and the council members and Public Safety Chair Danielle Jurinsky released a statement on Wednesday following the arrest and Trump's comments. Here's my question. Did you guys catch and release like people who drive me bats as an angler? As an angler, while I'm standing there and I'm watching people pick up fish on their line and throw them back that are not in violation of a size limit or an endangered species limit, it drives me bats. Are you guys doing that? Are you simply arresting them just to save face and try to align yourself with your conservative base that may still remain in Aurora? And you're just letting them go? You're putting it on the news. You're putting it here in this article. And then all of a sudden, you just catch and release. We would like to clear the record about the widely reported presence of the Tren de Agua in Aurora and across the metro area, the statement reads. The city's duty is to make sure that it gathers, presents, and presents factual, accurate, and comprehensive information about any issues affecting the community. We reiterate the safety, security, and the well-being of community members and visitors is a paramount concern to us in the city. Kaufman and Jurinsky's statement goes on to explain how the issues in the cities have experienced at a select few properties and do not apply to the city as a whole or large portions of it. Does that matter? Whether it's two apartment complexes, three apartment complexes, one apartment complex, does the amount really matter? Hmm. Tren de Agua, they go on to say, has not taken over the city. The overstated claims fueled by social media and through select news organizations are simply not true. Again, TDA's presence in Aurora is limited to specific properties, all of which the city has been addressing in various ways for months. So now if you've been dealing with it in various ways for months, then why haven't you been able to put your foot on it? Because if it was American citizens like Man and Ray Nim and Billy Bob and anybody else from this here place, y'all would have been got rid of them cats. Yeah, you would have. Yeah, you would have. We are optimistic about the public safety in our city. The city officials also noted how, quote, well before concerns about TDA in Colorado generated national attention, the Aurora Police Department has been arresting people for various criminal activities who had suspected but not necessarily confirmed TDA connections. To date, APD has now linked 10 people to TDA and has arrested 8 of those people. 2 of the 8 individuals were taken into custody and were involved in a July shooting at one of the specific properties in the city that have experienced issues with TDA activity. In line with these arrests, we can also now confirm that criminal activity, including TDA issues, had significantly affected those properties. No SH, no sugar honey iced tea. Sherlock. Kaufman and Jurinsky called the criminal element of this situation a regional issue. It ain't all over. It ain't everywhere. It's just the region, baby. You can still come here. You can still come on through the airport with its cryptic behind. You can still come on through here. Come on now. You can visit us. Matter of fact, right after this, we're going to give you guys a tourist commercial to tell you to come near. Come on, baby. Take your chances if you're lucky, but you can't bring your brother Smith or Wesson with you. Can't bring neither one of them brothers with you or their 6 buddies. They said that it was a regional issue and referenced separate arrests that they have made in Denver and Arapahoe County. The statement also mentioned in creation of a special task force consisting of Aurora Police. Well, now, why would you need to do that for only 10 people, sweetie? You guys just said you arrested them, and of the 10, you got 8, and of the 8, you had somebody. So why would you need a task force for just 10 people if there was no validity to any of these things that they're saying? Stop it, I say. Quit playing. Y'all playing with us. You guys are playing with us. The statement also mentioned a creation of the Special Task Force of Aurora Police and other local and federal agencies to address concerns about TDA and other criminal activity affecting our communities. Here's what's going to happen. Soon as one of these jokers decide to get bold, like the cats was doing, going and sitting in on Pelosi's lawn and parking outside of them. So does one of these jokers decide we don't have no boundaries? We coming near the governor mansion. We coming in near this one. We coming near that mansion. We coming to stay near the mayor's house. I guarantee you it's going to be a totally different side of Sears. We are optimistic about public safety in our city, the statement read. We will continue to embrace our identity as the most diverse city in Colorado and remain steadfast in our commitment to arrest bad actors, meaning the actors that get caught. All right, let's go. I got some good stuff for you. Here. Yeah, let me go ahead and take this one off. Because this next article is from I think it's AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens. Mature, those of us who are 60 or older. Those of us who are older, mature citizens. Let me go ahead and take this off and give it to you guys. I just hate that I have to always switch. So let's go. I want to show you this Then we're going to look at some legalese. You know, we got to get the legalese in there, baby. Okay, so Colorado's Aurora reports armed Venezuelan gangs taking over apartment complexes. As early as November 2023, armed Venezuelan gangs have begun terrorizing residents in the Aurora, Colorado area apartment complex, according to a Denver law firm. You mean to tell me that people who are dealing with the law are now chiming in? Hmm. The law firm Perkins Coie, anybody ever heard of them? Has a 10-page letter to the city officials that details how the Tren de Aragua gang took over Whispering Pines apartments using threats of murder, intimidation, and beatings. Evidence also indicates that gang members, I don't think y'all can see this. It doesn't show that you can see it. You only see my mug. You don't want to just see my mug. Let me give you this right here. There you are. All right. So, evidence also indicates that gang members have engaged in flagrant trespass violations, including human trafficking. This comes from the attorney Marcus Funk. Hey, Mr. Funk. Other alleged crimes include extortion, unlawful firearms possession, and sexual abuse of minors. Whoa, Perkins Coie seems to be going a little deep, targeting the vulnerable Venezuelan and other immigrant populations. The gang's motive appears to be unlawfully to move gang members in, as well as vulnerable immigrant families. They're going to move in on them into vacant units. Funk wrote in an August 9th letter to the mayor, the city manager, and the interim police chief. Well, let's just take a gander of that letter, shall we? Let's just take a gander. Let's just get a gander. Why belabor it? Okay, why belabor it? Let me give it to you. I don't know if we can show this any larger, but this is from Perkins Coie. Yeah. We ain't gonna be up here caught in no lies, baby. We gonna let you see it. So this is Perkins Coie letter to the Aurora Police Department. Okay, make sure that you can see this good. All right, that's the letter. You see the letter? You see the letter? All right, come on. Hey, Flow State. Good to see you, sweetheart. Good to see you, my brother. All right, so here we go. Perkins Coie. Perkins Coie letter to Aurora Police Department. I love the facts. I don't like a lot of speculation, but I do love the facts. All right. This is the letter. And I'm going to make it smaller so that we can read the body, because even though we've got this piece over here, there is this little part that prevents us from looking at it. So let's bring it back down where Felicia can read it. All right, here you go. It is via email, Heather R. Morris. It's to the interim chief of police. It's to the Aurora Police Department located at 15001 East Alameda Parkway. Aurora, Colorado 80012. Contact APD at auroragov.com. Mike Kaufman, the mayor of the city of Aurora at 15151 East Alameda Parkway. Okay. Now, what does it say? Regarding the Tren de Aragua takeover of Aurora apartment buildings, confidentially treatment requested. Dear Chief Morris, Mayor Kaufman, and City Manager Batchelor, Perkins Coie LLP represents U.S. Bank Trust Company, messing with folks' money. National Association as trustee of the registered holders of Wells Fargo Commercial Mortgage Securities Incorporated Multifamily Mortgage Pass-Through Certificate Series 2024-SB 113, the note holder, the holder of a loan secured by property known as the Whispering Pines Apartments, located at 1357 Helena Street, Aurora, Colorado, 80011. The property. CW Capital Asset Management LLC is the special servicer for the note holder for the loan. We were asked to investigate allegations of widespread criminal conduct reported and relating to the property. After conducting multiple witness interviews and reviewing video and other evidence, it appears that a Venezuelan gang known as the Tren de Aragua has forcefully taken over the property. The evidence that we have reviewed indicates that gang members are engaging in flagrant trespass violations, assault and batteries, human trafficking, and sexual abuse of minors, unlawful firearm possessions, extortion, and other criminal activities, often targeting the vulnerable Venezuelan and other immigrant populations. So if you got some Hispanics there, if you got some people that are there from Africa or other countries in Asia, maybe, or Southeast Asia, they messing with all of these folks that's there. Now we're writing to request your timely assistance in stopping the ongoing crimes and the exploitation of vulnerable immigrants, and we want to work with you to ensure that the property is dun 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 reverted to being under the lawful control of the owner and its property manager. Please let us know at your earliest availability for a meeting to discuss. Let us know your earliest availability for a meeting to discuss the important issues in greater detail. Share our evidence, correct any misimpressions that we may have, and discuss a productive path forward. Here's the introduction showing the criminal gang known as the Tren de Aragua have taken over the apartments there. Goes on to show that it's Whispering Pines. They've got a couple of links there from the New York Post. They go on to say that in consistency with their coordination operations in other U.S. cities, the evidence that we have access to shows that the gang used and continues to use threatening and actual violence to take over Whispering Pines. It uses its perceived ability to inflict violence on law-abiding residents, as well as vulnerable immigrant communities. What to say right here? I didn't say it. News didn't say it. Some people that they're debunking in the public eye, they didn't say it. Perkins Coie said it. And Perkins Coie, as you already may or may not know, ain't no low on the totem pole attorney's office. Perkins Coie is big, baby. They big. They're not just going to stop and say some stuff and say that their investigation shows them X. So let's see. Let's take a gander. Let's take a gander of the governor. We're going to stop this for a second because y'all ain't got time to go through all of this, but you do see that Perkins Coie is not playing. Wells Fargo, baby, ain't playing. The people who own that property and others like it, they're not joking. You see, it's a little different when you've got attorneys stepping in saying things, because attorneys, letter A, are not going to pick up a case unless they know that they have an opportunity to show evidence that would validate the claim of their client. Do you know that? Yeah, y'all know that. If there is evidence that will show for a fact that their client can stand to recover, then they will definitely represent them. But if there's a fact that their client cannot recover, they'll let the person know, well, you know what? We can't represent you. You really don't have a case. Perkins Coie is no joke. Wells Fargo is not kidding. All these other people that are in the scheme of things, none of these people are joking. They mean what they're saying, which means that somebody's lying. And according to our thumbnail, we want to know, what is the truth? What's the truth? This, I submit, just might be truth. So let's take a look at the governor. Let's take a look at him, shall we? Let's take a look at the governor. Let's take a look. All right, let me go over here, come back on your side. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you for spending your afternoon with me. All right, so here is the governor. This is the governor, his personal life and all that good stuff. Okay, his education. And of course, we're getting the information from the best source, Wikipedia, because you can write your own Wikipedia. It's like writing your own resume and believing everything you put in it. So this is Jared Schultz Polis, born May 12, 1975. He's an American politician, entrepreneur, businessman, and a philanthropist. Serving since 2019 as the 43rd governor of Colorado. He served one term on the Colorado State Board of Education. I'm putting a pause there on purpose. Hey, Tonette, the Board of Education. The Board of Education. That's where this man, Jared Polis, was on the Board of Education. State Board. That's right. But there's a very important reason for me even bringing that point to light. And you'll see shortly. But you probably already know. Okay? That's him. Get a good look at him. Get a good look at him. Get a good look. Get a gander. That's him. Okay. So let's finish reading here. Board of Education. That's what it said. Board of Education. Right. I had to make it real big for you. Okay. Yep. He served one term on the Colorado State Board of Education from 2001 to 2007 and 5 terms as the United States Representative from Colorado's 2nd Congressional District from 2009 to 2019. He was the only Democratic member of the Libertarian Conservative Liberty Caucus and was the 3rd wealthiest member of Congress with an estimated net worth of $122.6 million. He was elected governor of Colorado in 2018 and reelected in a landslide in 2022. An openly gay man, Polis has made history several times through his electoral success. In 2008, he became the first openly gay man and the second openly LGBTQ person after Tammy Baldwin elected to Congress as a non-incumbent. In 2011, he became the first openly gay parent in Congress. In 2018, he became the first openly gay man and the second openly gay LGBT person after Kate Brown elected governor for a U.S. state. He is also the first Jewish person elected governor of Colorado. In 2021, he became the first governor in a same-sex marriage. In 2022, he became the first openly gay man and the first governor in a same-sex marriage elected to a second term in office. His earlier education: Polis is the son of Stephen Schultz and Susan Polis Schultz, founders of the greeting card and book publishers Blue Mountain Arts. He was born at a Boulder Community Hospital in Boulder, Colorado in 1975. He lived in San Diego, California as a high school student, graduating from La Jolla Country Day School in 3 years with multiple honors. He graduated from Princeton University with a Bachelor's of Arts in Politics in 1996, writing a 157-page senior thesis, Paradigm Shift: Politics in the Information Age, under the supervision of Carol M. Swain. While at Princeton, Polis served as a communications director of the undergraduate student government and was involved in other campus organizations, such as Model Congress and the Princeton Juggling Club. As a college sophomore, Polis purchased stamps from a Legend of the West series at the Princeton Post Office. The USPS had recently recalled the series due to a printing error in the image of Bill Pickett, making his stamps far more valuable. Polis sold the stamps to a collector for a sum exceeding $1,000. In the year 2000, he legally changed his surname to his mother's to raise awareness for a fundraiser, and because he simply liked it better. His business and career: Polis co-founded the American Information System, or AIS Incorporated, while still in college. AIS was an internet access provider and was sold in 1998. In 1996, he co-founded a free electronic greeting card website, BlueMountain.com, which was sold to Excite at Home in 1999 for $430 million in stock and $350 million in cash. In February of 1998, Polis founded Pro Flowers, an online florist in La Jolla, California. And in December of that year, economist Arthur Laffer began advising Polis and joined Pro Flowers as the director. Pro Flowers, later renamed Provide Commerce Incorporated went public on NASDAQ as PRVD on December 17, 2003. In 2005, Provide Commerce was acquired by media conglomerate Liberty Media Corporation for $477 million. I hope y'all really listening to me. I hope you're really listening. Polis and other investors founded Techstars in Boulder, Colorado in 2006. During his tenure in Congress, Polis was among its wealthiest members. His net worth was estimated over $300 million. Here's his philanthropic career. Polis is the founder of Jared Polis Foundation. The foundation issues annual teacher recognition awards. Let me sip my coffee. Hold on. You might want to pay attention to that in conjunction with where I parked the car earlier. Now, he also donates computers to schools and nonprofit organizations. Very nice, right? Polis has also founded one charter school, the New America School, and co-founded another, the Academy of Urban Learning. Polis has received the Boulder Daily Camera's 2007 Pacesetters Award in Education and the Kaufman Foundation Community Award. Early political career, Polis has been called one of the Gang of Four wealthy Coloradans who made a concerted effort to support Democrats in statewide legislative races. The other members are Pat Stryker, Rut Bridges, and Tim Gill. The Gang of Four influence has been cited as a factor in Colorado's shift toward the Democratic Party in the 2000s and 2010. State Board of Education. There he is right there. He's a game changer, ladies and gentlemen. This man is a mover and a shaker. He's a game changer, baby. He's all for New America. This man actually went on to own a school, a charter school called the New America School. This man is a game changer in education. This man is responsible for education, not only in Colorado, but obviously he's helped to shape the education system of the United States. In 2000, Polis was elected at large as a member of the Colorado State Board of Education, and he served a single 6-year term until 2007, when the district was eliminated. His election was one of the closest in Colorado history, as he defeated incumbent Ben Alexander by 90 votes out of 1.6 million votes cast. During his term, Polis served as both the chairman and the vice chairman of the board. Who are we talking about? We're talking about the man who said that what was going on in Colorado was just imagination in the very first article that we read. He said, it was just your imagination. None of this was happening. Ain't nobody getting beat upside the head. Ow! Sing that song, girl. Anyway, he's the one who said it was the imagination of the people who were there. But this is that man. In 2006, Polis served as co-chair of the Coloradans for Clean Government, a committee that supported Amendment 41, a citizen-initiated ballot measure that banned gifts by registered lobbyists to government officials, establish a $50 annual restriction on gift giving from non-lobbyists, establish a 2-year cooling off period before former state legislators and statewide elected officials can begin lobbying, and create an independent ethics commission. In 2006 of November, 62.3% of the Colorado voters approved the Ethics in Government Constitutional Amendment. In 2007, Polis chaired the Building for Our Future campaign that supported ballot question 3A in the Boulder Valley School District. This guy's awesome, folks. This man is really about shaping the education system. Boy, this guy's unbelievable. He's great. He's absolutely amazing. In a Boulder Valley School District issue $296.8 million in bonds for the improvement and modernization, excuse me, and modernization of aging school facilities. He really wanted to get those old schools taken care of. The largest capital construction bond issue in the district's history, and the largest school bond proposal in Colorado that year. In November 2006, 58% of the Boulder Valley School District voters approved the measure. In 2014, Polis planned to champion two ballot measures to limit fracking in Colorado by banning drilling near schools and homes and empowering communities to pass their own rules. The measures were dropped after he reached a deal with Governor John Hickenlooper to create a task force. The absence of initiatives was seen as a relief to the vulnerable Democrats who would have to take controversial stances on the issues. Here's the House of Representatives. There's his elections. There he is. There's the guy. That's the one. That's Jared. Look, it's Jared. In 2008, Polis won a heavily contested Democratic primary election for Colorado's 2nd Congressional District, and he went on to win the general election on November 4th with 63% of the vote. He succeeded Mark Udall, who was elected to the United States Senate that year. Polis was reelected to the House in 2010 with 57% of the vote, and in 2012 with 56% of the vote, in 2014 with 57% of the vote, and in 2016 with 57% of the vote. This guy really loves those numbers, 57. There he is. There he is. Polis was the Red to Blue program chair for the DCCC during the 2012 elections, helping to recruit and raise money for Democratic candidates in competitive congressional districts. After the elections, he considered running for the vice chair of the House Democrats caucus after then chair Javier Becerra's term limit was done. The position went to Representative Joe Crowley. There he is doing a TED Talk in 2010. The following is an incomplete list of legislation that Polis, produced or introduced because there's so much more. Get this awesome guy who loves education. He came up with the Affordable College Textbook Act, and it had been introduced in the 113th and 114th Congresses and reintroduced by him in the 115th Congress, and it again died. Committee assignments: the 114th Congress, he served the following committees: Committee on Education and Workforce, Subcommittee on Higher Education and Workforce Training, Subcommittee on Health, Employment, Labor, and Pensions, Committee on Natural Resources. Y'all better pay attention to who it is that's doing this stuff in the United States. Subcommittee on Energy and Mineral Resources, Subcommittee on Federal Lands, Subcommittee on Oversight and Investigations, Committee Rules, Subcommittee on Legislative and Budget Process. Caucus memberships: well, Congressional Cannabis Caucus, Congressional Progressive Caucus, the LGBT Equality Caucus, Congressional Blockchain Caucus, Mexico Caucus, Nepal Caucus, the Veterinarian Medicine Caucus, New Democrat Coalition, the Congressional Arts Caucus, Congressional Next Generation 911 Caucus, NOPEC Caucus, Liberty Caucus, U.S.-Japan Caucus, Problem Solvers Caucus. And here we are, the governor of Colorado. Polis was President Trump and Doug Bergman in May of 2020. This is Polis and Joe Biden. Here's all of the elections, the gubernatorial election, all of that. But here's what we get. Polis announced his candidacy for governor of Colorado. He was elected governor with 53.4%. Don't you see how this cat stays right above the 50% mark? It's very good. He's a very smart man. The people love him. I mean, they may like the other person too, but this guy beats them out by only a few percentage points above that 50%, which makes him marginally better. He was elected governor with 53.4% of the vote, defeating Republican nominee Walker Stapleton and becoming the first openly gay person elected as governor of any state. The first openly gay person to serve as a state governor was Jim McGivey, and the 52nd governor of New Jersey, who disclosed his sexual orientation during his gubernatorial tenure. Let's take a look at some other things here. Hold on, I do want to read this. The tenure. Polis was elected governor in 2018, boldly forward a 501. He was elected governor on November 6th of 2018, boldly Forward, a 501c4 nonprofit, was formed as the transition team, working with Keystone Center as the facilitator. Polis was sworn in on January 8th of 2019 in an effort to recall him, and other Democratic elected officials failed to submit any signatures. Now, why would somebody with just above 50% of all the votes that we've been able to read about here want to be recalled by the people who overwhelmingly voted him in? Crazy. Let's take a look at some of his family members, shall we? We're going to take the Perkins Coie tab away. We're going to take this tab away, because now what I need you to see is who loves him, baby? Who loves him, baby? This is the first gentleman of Colorado, Marlon Reese. I hope I'm saying that right. Is it Reyes or Reese? That's him. That's his spouse. The gentleman who said that none of that stuff was going on there in Colorado. That's his spouse. Hey, Black Spring. I'm just going to let that sit there for a second so that everybody can see it. Okay, let's move. Marlon Reyes, that's his spouse. First gentleman of Colorado, assumed the role January 8, 2019, married to Governor Polis, preceded by Robin Pringle as the First Lady. Born July 1st, 1981, age 43, of Colorado, Boulder. Spouse Jared Polis. They have 2 children. Relatives is Susan Polis, the mother-in-law, and education is the University of Colorado at Boulder. Marlon Reese, born July 1st, 1981, is an American animal rights advocate, writer, and first gentleman of Colorado. He is married to the 43rd governor of Colorado, Jared Polis, who became the first same-sex first gentleman in the United States following the inauguration of Polis as the governor of on January 8th, 2019. He was born in Boulder, Colorado, to a Jewish family, so they both have that in common. From the East Coast, he earned his bachelor's degree from the University of Colorado at Boulder. As the first gentleman, Reyes became that. Of course, they're going to drive that home. Following the inauguration, his partner, now husband, as the governor of Colorado, Polis introduced Reyes as the first man. On election night, he served as an unofficial advisor to his partner's gubernatorial campaign for governor. As first gentleman, he's focused on animal rights and welfare, environmental and civil rights, and LGBT rights. And this is amazing because the governor, who they're very closely associated, he's into education. In addition to being the first gentleman, Reyes is a writer and has published his works in USA Today, CNN, and the Washington Post. In his personal life, he met the future representative and Colorado governor in 2002 while finishing his education. He and this individual married in 2021 September. Following an 18-year relationship, he and the governor have 2 children born in 2011 and 2014. He is the son-in-law of the poet Susan Polis Schultz and the illustrator Stephen Schultz. There you go. This is all the stuff that he's done. I'm not going to go through all of it. Okay, that's it. That's all I'm doing. That's it. That's it. Both of them are Jewish American people. Yeah. So the categories: living people, 1981 births, all of these are little links that you could click that'll bring you right back to this guy or something like that. Now, the next thing that we're going to be looking at, because I don't think I'm going to beat that up anymore. I think we've touched it, don't you? Yeah. I think we've dealt with why Colorado governor seems to feel as if Perkins Coie, the attorneys for Wells Fargo, as well as the attorneys for said apartment complex, would be, imagining that these things are in existence. Yeah, let's take a break. Hey everyone, it's me, Felicia, of the Lockhart Perspective and Headlines with a Voice. I want to tell you a little secret. This is what I used to do, because I don't do it anymore. I would go to the store, buy the barbecue sauce, pour it inside of a bowl, put a whole bunch of different spices, a dash of brown sugar, a dash of maple, and a dash of mustard, stir it all around, and everybody would be like, oh my gosh, this is the best, this is the best. But I was exhausted after all of that, and a lot of times I couldn't remember how many dashes of what I put in it. But I don't have to do that anymore, because now I just go to Judge Joe Brown's website and I order his 3-pack of bottled barbecue sauce. It is by far the best, and I do mean the best barbecue sauce I've ever eaten. And when you go to his website and you order his 3-pack, you'll see exactly what I mean. Head on over to jjbbbbq.com and order Judge Joe Brown's barbecue sauce. You'll be glad you did, and you're going to tell me about it. I know you will. Well, we've got a couple of little stories that we're going to close out with here. I do want to take a look at Ohio. I called a very good friend of mine. I don't know if he's actually able to come on or not, but called a very good friend of mine that's out of the Ohio area. I have several friends that live there. And one individual that I called said, everything that you see in the news is actually true. And I said, you're kidding me. He goes, no, it's absolutely real. So I want to see if he's going to be available to come and hang out with us just for a minute. I know that he was busy when we chatted earlier. And so hopefully he can, if not, call on the phone and give us some commentary on what's up. But here is what I want to show you. I should say, specifically dealing with Ohio. They mocked Trump quite a bit. And, it's the way that I see it is it's one of those things where it's not even about a Trump mockable moment. I don't even want to make it a Trump issue. What I think is most important to note today is that it's the American people that they are really mocking, right? It's the American people that's being mocked. It's not necessarily Trump. It's the American people. Okay. What is this? What are you guys talking about? I like some of the conversations you guys are having. Anyway, so when we are considering exactly how people are, basically rubbing our noses or thumbing their noses at us, the funny piece is that I'm hoping that people who are not necessarily in line with what we're in line with see this and sort of scratch their heads and make themselves wonder, why is it that people are not telling the truth? And I think that the biggest part of what we just talked about is really Perkins Coie. Even though we've delved into the somewhat scratched the surface of the background of some of the players that we're talking about there in Colorado, I think it's really major that Perkins Coie is the individual, the group of attorneys who have said, hey, look, we got some investors here and there's a problem. That's a big thing. That's big. That's huge. No, that's huge. But the problem is that it makes it appear as if somebody is on one person's side when we ain't on nobody's side. Well, we are on the side of truth. Let's get into this next story because this is so important. I want to go here and then I want to show this. Do I want to show this first? No, I want to show. I have to show that in another tab. Okay, I understand now. All right, let's take a look at this because I want you guys to see how this story has made an amazing flip-flop. I mean, an amazing flip-flop. This is a trip. Look at this crap. Yeah, look at this.
The immigration surge in Springfield. This has put the city in the national spotlight, with major media outlets reporting on this story we broke days ago.
And the city made it into the presidential debate last night when former President Trump claimed immigrants were eating pets, something Springfield said they have no credible reports of. Now, here's what Governor DeWine is doing right now to help the city handle the issues from the increase in immigrants. He ordered additional troopers and cruisers to help Springfield police patrol problem areas and watch for erratic driving. He also asked the Ohio Department of Health to increase primary care services in Springfield.
News Center 7's John Bedell is live in Clark County. And John, that's where you talked to Governor DeWine about the state's plan today.
I did, Sherilyn James. You know, we first heard from the governor here at Springfield City Hall just before, or I should say just before the city council meeting at Springfield City Hall last night. DeWine talked about those additional steps the state is taking to help the city with the migrant influx. We also uncovered new information and context about a viral picture from social media on this topic. This week, all kinds of people sent us this picture, claiming it shows evidence of Haitian migrants catching and eating geese in Springfield. We've uncovered the picture was actually taken in Columbus on July 28th, and we pulled this street view from a mapping system to show you exactly where it was taken. The 4700 block of Cleveland Avenue in Columbus. The picture was posted to social media, and Governor Mike DeWine told me it caught the attention of ODNR.
And it's clear now that that was in Columbus, Ohio. We've investigated that. We'll probably continue to investigate it because that would be hunting out of season when you look at the date when that took place.
It was one concern raised about real challenges a sudden influx of an estimated 15,000 Haitian migrants have created in Springfield and Clark County.
I have great confidence in the people of Springfield. Look, they are not anti-Haitian. They just are seeing problems and they want elected officials, they want all of us to do everything that we can to alleviate those problems.
For months, News Center 7 has covered the strain the population surge is putting on police and fire services, schools, healthcare, and translation services, along with problems with unlicensed or uneducated drivers. It's a strain on so many in the community, including Haitian migrants like Viles Dorsaville.
We are resilient people, hardworking people, and I think that we have a lot to offer to this community here.
Now, we've also gotten other tips about other complaints related to the broader immigration surge here in Springfield. We're still working to verify that information, though. If we find those are true, we'll report those too. Meantime, you heard from Vilas a little bit there. He's a pastor in the Haitian community here in Springfield. I'll have his perspective on what this week's been like when I join you new at 6. But now that we're live in Springfield this afternoon, I'm John Bedell, News Center 7.
We'll see you then, John.
Okay, so we see that they took that story and they have now shared with us that it's now a seasonal issue. The problem is not that this man had a goose. The problem is that the man was carrying the goose after he got the goose out of hunting season in a totally different area. So on the phone, I have with me, may I say your name, kind sir? I can hear you just fine. Can you hear me? Okay, so I'm going to put you on. Can I say your name, your first name and last name? Okay, Victor C. So now, Victor, what can you tell us about what's going on there in Ohio?
Well, pretty much what they're saying based upon what I've seen and the testimonies of the people that live in the communities is absolutely true. I don't want to throw shade at the Haitian people because I think American foreign policy has done a lot of damage to the country. However, the truth is the truth. And some of the culture that they have, the way that they live down there, it's not quite how it is here in the United States. And unfortunately, as I understand it, the cosplaying chameleon Kamala Harris had already stated that they have gave them protected status. So the people are complaining, and what I saw in the news reports and what I've seen on some of the content creators who've been covering this story, these folks are at city council meetings complaining. In fact, I think there was something on YouTube today where they had a special meeting today down in Springfield. Of course, it said it was live, so I checked in a little bit to listen to the people complaining. So whether or not there are residents who are coming out and saying, no, this is not happening, I have yet to hear it.
Mm, okay. And so, what do you think when you hear, the mayor and other people disputing what some of the citizens have stated?
Well, um, given the fact that the people are complaining, obviously there is some truth to it. We've heard telephone calls to police dispatch complaining about somebody walking down the middle of the street after killing one of the geese, I believe it was. What was sad and what's awful about this is the city officials. The fact that these people, and so particular those within the Democrat Party, have allowed this to happen. They've allowed this to happen to us, and the mere fact that they're doing everything to cover it up, rather than just acknowledging, hey, these were bad policies, we shouldn't have done this, so now we got to deal with it. Rather than doing that, they would just rather lie, try to cover it up like they did in Aurora, Colorado, until they couldn't deny it anymore. Mm-hmm. So I think these people, this just goes to tell you how awful and horrible these elected officials are, not to have the intestinal fortitude to come out and say, hey, this is what's happening, but we're going to get to the heart of it. We're going to fix this up. We're going to try to fix this. Mm-hmm. And and what our country can do is stay the hell out of the business of the people down there in Haiti. Mm-hmm. Let them deal with their country. We know that the Haitians, they hate it. They absolutely hated the Clintons. So, they're responsible for some of this,
Mm-hmm.
and you got your rhino Republicans who are probably, some Republicans who are involved in what's going on down in Haiti. But this is just awful.
Yeah, it is.
Absolutely awful.
It is. Well, I want to tell you, I appreciate you for what you have just shared with us. And then I also want to let you know that what we're about to do is we're about to listen to one of those recordings. Someone was gracious enough to share something with me today. And so I'm going to show one of those recordings right now. I'm off the screen, but I'm on the screen. And I want everybody to listen to this while we're off the screen. So that way you guys get to hear it. And it's just, to me, it speaks for itself. Here you go.
Clark County Communications.
Yes, ma'am. I got a question. This is a non-emergency line, correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I'm sitting here. I'm riding on the trail going to my orientation for my job today. And I see a group of Haitian people. There was about 4 of them. They all had geese in their hand. They got away. I couldn't make out the first 3 of the license plate, but I got the numbers. The last number was 9898, and it was a gray Toyota Tacoma they took off on. There was about 4 of them. There was 2 men, 2 women. I couldn't tell the age because I'm in a hurry going to this orientation, so I don't be late.
What direction did they go?
They went up towards the middle of towards downtown.
Okay, and what path are you on?
Right now, hold on just a second. I'm coming to the intersection of. Give me a second here. It says Water and Warder Street.
Water and Warder. Is that the area you saw them?
Yes. It was about 2 minutes back behind me. I was trying to get my phone out and trying to make it to this orientation on time. I'm time crunching here. And I saw that. I'm like, yeah, this has got to be reported.
So how many geese did they have?
They each had 1. Now, the Toyota Tacoma did look like a newer model.
And what's your name, sir?
My name is... It's hot out here today.
I'm sorry, what's your last name again? Your phone number is that... Okay, we will put this out to our cars and see if we can't find him. Thank you so much for calling in.
You're welcome. And if I happen to see him again, I'll try to give you a call back and get a better license plate for you.
Okay, now you guys just heard that. And at the conclusion right now, I want you to hear this, because this is important, because it adds to the whole entire thing. You know, as Victor stated, the United States needs to stay out of everybody's business, but they can't, because they are the downfall of each of the countries that they've allegedly gone in to help. Whenever they've decided that they want to help somebody, they jack them up. And that's exactly what they've done. So this next portion here is Kamala Harris.
Administration feels strongly about that. But that is why also, starting with our administration, we gave TPS, temporary protected status, to
Well, you heard that piece. This is the final piece right here. Oh, you guys couldn't hear? Michael, you guys couldn't hear that? You couldn't hear that? Oh, wow. All right, so let's just try it again. That may have been me, but it showed that the audio was fine. So you could not hear the last audio of Kamala talking? Nobody heard that? All right, let me pull it back up for you folks so that you guys can hear it. All right, let's go back a little bit. Don't want to hear Prince. Don't want to hear that. I want to hear this right here. And let me make sure that you guys can hear it. But then again, it came across from Facebook, and you know, they're such contrarians. They are such contrarians. Hold on just a second. Let me see if we can't fast forward the feed to give it to you guys. Maybe we'll just listen to all of the last part that she had to say. Okay, let me check it out. All right. You heard her first words, and then after that, it was it. All right, you guys, no problem. Hold on, let me get it for you. Present. We're going to stop sharing it there, and then we're going to share it there. Window, here, here. Now, tell me, can you hear this chick talking now?
To support Haiti in terms of its need to get back up and to recover. And I failed to mention that in terms of the natural disasters.
I hope you can hear her.
Heartache and loss. And they just had a president who was assassinated. So you're also talking about a government.
Here's what she said. Here's what we're going to do. I'm just going to let you know that she was just basically stating that this was the reason why the Biden administration had given the temporary protected status to the Haitian individuals. Now, let me make it perfectly clear. I am not against or anti-Haitian. Got a lot of friends, people from all different walks of life, people who are from different countries. That's not the problem. The problem is exactly what has taken place here in the United States and how they have weaponized people from other countries to come in and affect the ecosystem, the balance of this country. with an expressed reason behind it all, and that is to inevitably take over, not necessarily the people, but for them to have a base of individuals who are very indebted to them, of which the Haitians are. They are very indebted to the Democratic Party. And I saw that today in the representation of a gentleman who was on Instagram just thanking Vice President Kamala Harris, as well as the seated guy, wherever he is. And that's what they do. So they're trying to give everybody driver's license. They're trying to give everybody, voter ID rights and all of these things. And so these are things that are happening right now that we all can see. The only problem that we have is and I want to bring this to light because I made mention and I put this video up. I narrated this article on purpose. Some people, it went right over their heads. How many of you, by show of the number one, did you see? Hello, Steve. I love you. This is the executive producer of the channel. If it were not for Steve, we wouldn't be here right now. Trust and believe that. He supports the channel, he supports me, and I love him very much. He is one of the mods here, as well as Michael and a few other mods. But thank you for being here, Steve. So before we close, I want to bring up one important thing. And the important factor is that there is a lot of people from all of these different countries that we know are good people. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the fact that this is a war that has been happening within our country over the past several years that's happening from the inside out. Again, they can't mess with us because we was the baddest cats in the air. We were the baddest cats in the water. We were the baddest cats on the ground. We were. I don't know what our military looks like right now. I shudder to think of it. But I will definitely say that the only way that they could take us over is with our laws and take over our country with our Constitution in hand, which is the reason why I showed the article that I read dealing with Ferdinand Marcos. Somebody even questioned the way the author wrote the question or made the statement, as the makings of a constitutional dictator. Oh, that's an oxymoron. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It is an oxymoron, except it happened and he did it. It happened and he did it. This is the reason why I'm letting everybody know right now that it's a lot bigger than what they're showing us, and it's a lot larger than some of the things that give us rise or get us anxious. It's what the long game is, and this is the reason why they've been able to play this long game for such a long time. This has been a very long time coming. It's not something that just started. It's something that's been happening progressively as they chop away at the Constitution. I used to say back in the 80s that the United States was going to paint themselves into a corner, that California, where I was living at the time, was going to paint itself in a corner with all of the laws. You get a law, you get a law, you get a law, you get a law, now you're in a corner. And the people can't even come out swinging. They can't even fight their way out of the corner. There's no way. You can't. For those of you who didn't get a chance to see the article that I'm referring to, it's important for us to look at it right now. I really honestly feel like that. I feel like it's very important for us to look at it. It's very important. Because if we don't look at this right now, you guys are it's going to go, the people, there's not going to be that connection. People are too busy sometimes. People are entirely too busy for them to, dawdle over and take a look at this or take a look at that. So let's go on ahead and take a look at it, which is what we're going to do. We're going to take a look at this video that we put up the other day. And it's important. It's about a couple of minutes, but it's important. It's important. And I heard a lot of people, oh, well, that's not going to happen. That can't happen here. That's not this. This is a great country, and this is not a democracy. Listen, I already know all that. Y'all preaching to the choir, yelling at me, talking about it's not a democracy. I know it ain't a democracy, but it was a republic if we could keep it, and it's apparent we couldn't keep it, baby, because they tugging a war, and they got a whole lot of people believing that communism and socialism is a good thing, and folks is vying for it, and people are fighting for it, and people are arguing with you in the grocery store, and the line at the dry cleaners. They're going off on you as family members over the phone. Why? Because this is what they believe. Let's take a look at. See, can we show you this? Make it get a little card radio podcast. I am constitutional dictator. Yeah, some of us would probably not even know that that's something that is an actual thing. But today we are looking at an actual situation where this happened. Before we get started today, I want to make sure that if you are subscribed to this channel, that you hit that like button. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, I want you to hit the like button as well. Also, if you have the ability to share this out, please do. And make sure that if you're not a member, you consider becoming a member, because we have a lot of fun a lot of times. So today we are looking at the makings of a constitutional dictator. Here we go. When Ferdinand Marcos declared martial law in the Philippines, he used his constitutionally legal powers to concentrate all state authority in himself. However, this would not be the last time that Marcos would use technicalities in his mandate as the head of state to obtain even greater power. In mere months following September of 1972, Marcos had already set in motion an elaborate plan that would eliminate his checks and balances from both the other branches of government and the Filipino people at large. And everything he did, Ferdinand Marcos took great pains to ensure that his actions would align with the dictates of the law. When necessary measures fell outside of the scope of the existing laws, well, he simply changed the laws to suit his needs before proceeding. For implementing such a strategy, his rapid ascent to what seemed at the time like absolute power, Marcos has been labeled a constitutional dictator. Absolute power. In any democracy, checks and balances are vital. The basic idea is that no single individual has all power, so that he is unable to abuse it. Power is ideally distributed among various bodies so that they may dispense their duties efficiently and balance each other's exercise of authority. The Philippine government is generally divided into three branches. They've got the executive branch, the legislative branch, and the judicial branch. Following the same principles of checks and balances, the president or the executive branch must thus approve laws that are passed by the Senate and the Congress or the legislative branch, while the Supreme Court, the judicial branch, may judge the constitutionality of the president's actions. Toward strengthening his dictatorial powers, Marcos made sure to disrupt this democratic setup. While he already had control of the executive branch as president, he proceeded to take over all other functions that the government had mandate over. In effect, Marcos gave himself total control over the nation. In General Order Number 1, signed September 22nd, 1972, Marcos declared, quote, "Now therefore I, Ferdinand E. Marcos, President of the Philippines, by virtue of the powers vested in me by the Constitution as Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, do hereby proclaim that I shall govern the nation and direct the operation of the entire government, including all its agencies and instrumentalities in my capacity, and shall exercise all powers and prerogatives prudent and incident to my position as such Commander-in-Chief of all the armed forces of the Philippines." By taking control over the entire government, Marcos put himself in a position of absolute power over the laws of the land, with no legitimate body in existence to hold him in check. He personally appointed every provincial governor, city mayor, and municipal mayor throughout the nation. Throughout his term, he issued 1,941 presidential decrees and 1,331 letters of instruction, as well as 896 executive orders. His word was law. Thus, a new constitution, as it became clear that Marcos could indeed exercise absolute power over the Philippine government. One more thing had to be secured: the indefinite extension of this power. In the 1935 Constitution, in effect at the time of Marcos's first and second terms in office, limited the presidency to a total of 2 four-year terms. Marcos' solution? Well, he promulgated a change of constitution, which included the replacement of Congress with the single chamber Barasang Panbansa, or National Assembly. The new proposed government would have a Barasang Pambansa composed of popularly elected legislators, a symbolic head of state in the president, and a prime minister who would be head of government, elected by the assembly. One crucial provision was that the prime minister would retain his powers unless the assembly made it known that they had lost their confidence in him or the president nominated a successor. Moreover, transitory provisions in the 1973 Constitution assigned Marcos a term extension as president. Even before the declaration of martial law, a constitutional convention had already been put in place since 1971 to review the proposed amendments to the existing Constitution. Now, on November 29th of 1972, the convention approved their proposed constitution, and in the following day, it was submitted by the president for ratification by the Filipino people. Now, this move was questioned by some legislators. How could a constitution be ratified by the Filipino people in a state with neither Congress nor free speech? Nonetheless, the president ordered the organization of citizen assemblies, wherein citizens would be asked whether they approved of the new society, whether they liked the reforms instituted under martial law, and whether Congress should be opened again, and when the Constitution should be ratified. In proclamation number 1102, Marcos announced that 95% of the citizens at the citizens' assemblies approved of the new Constitution. This announcement was also questioned in a landmark case known as Javalinia versus the executive secretary, where Jose Javalinia questioned the power of the president to call for citizen assemblies and the power of the assemblies themselves to ratify the Constitution. Others alleged that the citizen assemblies themselves had been conducted unscrupulously with force and deception. However, the case was dismissed by the Supreme Court, therefore allowing the 1973 Constitution to take full effect. Marcos had thus succeeded in fulfilling his plans to obtain power. After transitory provisions lived out their course, Marcos was named the prime minister. He had indeed extended his stay in power. The 1973 Constitution allowed him to hold his position indefinitely, and so he did until 1981, at which time he appointed his finance minister, Cesar Virata, to the post. Marcos did not consider Virata a threat to his rule. Well, there you go, folks. That's the... All right, so that's that. But now, just to seal this, we need to understand exactly how he ruled, okay? We're going to look at that before we close here. It was 7:15 on September 23rd, 1972. President Ferdinand Marcos announced on television that he had placed the Philippines under martial law, and that's how he ruled, stating that he had done so in response to the communist threat posed by the newly found Communist Party of the Philippines and the sectarian rebellion of the Muslim Independence Movement, or the MIM. Opposition figures of the time, such as Lorenzo Tanada, Jose Diokno, hopefully I'm not mispronouncing the name, but I'm sure I am, and Javito Salonga, accused Marcos of exaggerating these threats and using them as an excuse to consolidate power and extend his tenure beyond the 2 presidential terms that were allowed by that 1935 Constitution that we just mentioned. Marcos signed Proclamation 1081 on September 21st, 1972, marking the beginning of a 14-year period of one-man rule, which effectively lasted until Marcos was exiled from the country on February 25th, 1986. Proclamation 1081 was formally lifted January 17th of 1981. Marcos retained essentially all of his powers as dictator until he was ousted in 1986 February. But here's another piece. Here's another piece that I'm sure you guys already know because you're such a smart bunch. But here's another piece right here. Here's something else I want to show you before we close, dealing with this. And why am I showing you this? Because this could happen anywhere where you have this type of setup. The Republic is what protected us from what you just saw. But don't you know that words have power? And don't you know that as long as somebody continuously says something over and over and over again, it gives power to what they're saying? And for the past several years, all we've heard is this person is a threat to our democracy. This person is a threat to our democracy. Here is the incumbent president of the Philippines, Bongbong Marcos. That's his son, Bongbong Marcos. Since June 30th, 2023 to 22, the government of the Philippines, he's the office of the president. President, informal, honorable, formal, His Excellency, diplomatic, type, head of state, head of government, commander-in-chief, Bongbong. Bongbong. That's him. I want to thank each and every one of you guys for hanging out with us for the last hour and a half here. Thank you so very much. I hope that you all have a wonderful rest of your weekend. I appreciate each and every one of you guys who've just become subscribers to the channel and for lending your voice to the chat. Let me know down below if you're watching this in the replay exactly what you think about all of the topics that we've discussed today. We've talked about Venezuela. We've talked about Ohio. We had our guest, Victor C., join us. We've looked at, how these things have taken place in other countries and how they could affect us. But the one important thing that I want to let you guys all know is the way that this started in other countries, with them becoming just one dictator and people just shut up and sit back and shut up and take it. They affected their speech and the freedom of speech. I want you guys to take care of yourselves because ain't nobody else going to do it if you don't do it. And I want you to make sure that you take care of my friend. So the next time I see you, I want you to let me know if you've been taking care of my friend, because my friend is you. Peace. Hey everyone, it's me, Felicia, of the Lockhart Perspective and Headlines with a Voice. I want to tell you a little secret. This is what I used to do because I don't do it anymore. I would go to the store, buy the barbecue sauce, pour it inside of a bowl, put a whole bunch of different spices, a dash of brown sugar, a dash of maple, and a dash of mustard, stir it all around, and everybody would be like, oh my gosh, this is the best, this is the best. But I was exhausted after all of that, and a lot of times I couldn't remember how many dashes of what I put in it. But I don't have to do that anymore because now I just go to Judge Joe Brown's website and I order his 3-pack of bottled barbecue sauce. It is by far the best, and I do mean the best barbecue sauce I've ever eaten. And when you go to his website and you order his 3-pack, you'll see exactly what I mean. Head on over to jjbbbbq.com and order Judge Joe Brown's barbecue sauce. You'll be glad you did, and you're going to tell me about it. I know you will. To receive instant notification each time I upload, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification.
Helping you along the way. Helping you to make it through another day.